Welcome back to another episode of the Living Proof Recovery Podcast. We are your hosts, Brian and Evan. Today is January 2nd, 2026. It's a new year. So two big things happened today. The biggest one, first one I want to talk about is we secured tickets to the Redneck Brawl.
Let's go.
February 7th,
Toledo.
USA versus Canada. We get to see some rednecks scrap.
It's going to be awesome.
And it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait. My wife saw that and she was like, showing people at work, like, your husband is going to this? And she was like, why wouldn't he go to this? Like, it seems awesome. So it's one of the cool things that we can do in sobriety. Yeah. You know, we can go to watch rednecks.
Yeah,
from Michigan and fight rednecks from Canada.
You know, I've been hyped up about it for several months now.
I know.
I've been waiting on this day to get here so I can, get these tickets.
Yeah. So that's the big news, right? So the second thing is today marks 4 years of continuous sobriety for you, right?
Yeah.
Which is awesome, man. I'm proud of you. So what I figured, or what I was thinking that we could do tonight, is we can kind of take a look back through the last 4 years and kind of share what that journey's been like, with the ups, the downs, you know, how you got to where you are today. That way, for people that are watching that haven't gotten to 4 years, or that are newly sober or thinking about getting sober or whatever, they can kind of see, you know, like what's required, you know, how you've done it. You know, because that's really all we can do is share with people how we've done it ourselves, right? So take us back a little bit. So if we go back 4 years ago, where were you at? What was going on?
4 years to the date?
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
So I was laying in a bed in the Robert Alexander Center. For my second time in a detox room. I believe the same room from the first time. And I was just so mentally and emotionally beaten down. I had fell out in my driveway the night before. And for some reason, I'm still here after laying in my driveway for multiple hours. Some reason I'm still here. So, you know, a year ago or 4 years ago today, is when I had finally had enough and went back into treatment.
What a way to kick off the new year.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's start this New Year's off in rehab.
Right.
I mean, I guess that's a good thing, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to forget your sobriety date.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's, and for me, it was like, I think about it and I'm like, man, such an easy day. 1-2-22. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so easy.
For sure. So what was it like? So what was your stay like there?
Oh, I mean,
Like,
it was
compared to, well, I don't want to say compared to other times, but just like, what did you have to do while you were there?
So, for me, this go around, it was obviously getting through the detox was always the biggest thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I could never detox on my own. So that was the first step, was getting detoxed fully, right? And then while I was at treatment, you know, I knew from the beginning that the real work didn't start until after I left treatment. But while I was there, I was going to take complete advantage of all the resources I had that were offered to me and that I could do. So, you know, making sure I was there for every group all day long, even when I didn't want to be in there, you know, making sure I was there and participating in those groups and just trying to soak up every bit of knowledge that I could from inside of this place. And I built a lot of awesome connections with people there, and still some relationships with people that I'm still in touch with today, you know, from clients and staff, and a lot of good relationships came out of that. Family sessions, right? I got to do some counseling with my wife and a therapist that was there, the family therapist at the time. I got a lot of good things out of it. A lot of fellowship in learning how to communicate with other people not under the influence, because you know what I mean.
It's so much harder.
It's strange.
It is.
When you're used to being under the influence and talking to people versus
I can talk to anybody when I'm under the influence.
Right. Learning.
I'm a chatty Cathy.
Learning even things like this, things that people are like, well, it's so simple, but
it's not.
It's not for me. It wasn't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I think it's important to state, right, that you said the real work started when you left treatment, right? So treatment didn't fix you.
No.
Right. So you were able to get removed from the substance.
Yeah. It gave me a good starting point. It gave me 30 days of clearing the fog, and it gave me a good foundation to start from. Okay. So you obviously started, right, when you left there. What did that look like? Did you already have a sponsor? Did you get one while you were there? Did you change sponsors? Did you start doing stuff while you were in treatment? Like what did that process of actually doing the work that's necessary, when did that start? So I already had a sponsor when I went in, and I'd let him know that I was going back into treatment and I'd relapsed, and he already knew, because I just kind of fell off the face of the earth for a little while.
Sponsors tend to know.
Yeah, so he knew. So
like, oh my God, you relapsed? Like,
he was just kind of like, good. I'm glad you finally told me.
Right.
Now get yourself together and let's get after it.
Right.
So he didn't give me any work to do while I was in there. He knew I was going to most likely not do it while I was in there, because I didn't have access to phones to call him constantly.
Right.
The little time I had, he knew I was going to be calling my family and checking on my wife and kids. So he just kind of said, do what you got to do. Call me when you get out and we'll get to work. So that's what we did. I got out and immediately. So the day I left treatment, I just kind of spent the day with my wife and kids. Mm-hmm. And then the very next day I was in an AA meeting with him and immediately got into the book and started, here we are, step one, let's go.
Right.
And that's just kind of where it went from there.
So that's got to kind of be humbling in a way, right? I've worked these steps before. I've done this before. Now we're starting over. I'm starting from scratch. It's necessary, and I've done that, right? And it's humbling. It's kind of like, here we are again. But the last time I did, and I think it's probably the same for you, is I had a different perspective this last time when I started over, of like, okay, we're not fucking around now. Not that I was really fucking around before, kind of was, but I didn't know I was. But it was just more serious. Was that the case for you?
Well, absolutely. And this was the first time that I've ever had that step one experience that we talk about on here.
Yeah.
To where I knew, and like when I came to laying in my driveway that day before I checked into treatment that night, that wasn't the first time I had. And I don't know. I didn't go to the hospital. I don't know if it was an overdose. If I didn't overdose that night, I was right on the fucking line of it, But I have overdosed in the past and woke up in hospitals from overdoses and things like that. But this was the first time where I had that experience to where I was actually scared, and I knew if I didn't do something different, I was going to die, and my wife and kids were going to be the ones to find me.
Yeah, it's that, what's it called in the book? Incomprehensible demoralization. Yeah. It's just like, man, I I cannot comprehend that I'm in this situation right now, and it sucks. Right? Yep. So like that first step experience is, man, I have two choices.
Yep.
Like I can die, or I can seek help. So all right, so you're out of treatment. You started working with your sponsor. Now, did you guys make it through because I know you got a new sponsor after that. Like, so did you guys make it through the 12 steps?
Yes.
Before you switched sponsors?
Yeah. So just kind of backing up before I answer that, I had this first step experience that we talked about, and being someone who had some time on multiple occasions and then relapsing multiple times throughout these last 14, 15 years.
Right.
I carried a lot of that shame, that guilt and shame, and it gets, most of us addicts and alcoholics, we've always known what that felt like, but it's always worse after you've had some time sober and you go back out. That guilt and that shame gets heavier every time, right?
I can imagine. I'm sure it does.
And it kept me running longer too. It kept me in the madness longer.
Well, pride.
Right, my pride. So one of the things I had to look at was like, our circumstances don't define who we are, but it's what we're going to do about them that does.
Right.
So I knew this was an opportunity. I had this first step experience, and I knew this was an opportunity to even be like a beacon of hope to others, to show them like, it's okay if you do. We don't want anybody to relapse and go back out, but if you do, you can always come back.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like, okay, here we go. It's time to get to work now. And so I went, like I said, the day after I got out of treatment, I was back in my first AA meeting with my sponsor, and we hit it hard. And I went through the 12 steps with him, probably a month and a half, 2 months in between that, because he was also the type. I mean, we have clear-cut directions in the book.
By the book,
we don't fuck around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's time to get this stuff done. There's no reason for it to drag out for a whole year.
Yeah.
There's just no reason for it.
It's stupid.
And that's how he is. He has over 40 years sober. He was straight to the point. This is what it is. You better fucking get on board or I'm leaving you behind. So that's what I did. So probably like a month and a half, 2 months. And then I started to also, while I was in treatment, one of the biggest things for me while I was in treatment was I was introduced to Refuge and Dharma, right? I never knew anything about that before, but I had done the AA thing for so many years at different points to where I wanted to try something different, and that one really it hit home in a lot of areas, and so I started really getting into that. And I would try to talk to my sponsor about it, but he didn't know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And through Refuge, it taught me a lot of things that honestly, it goes hand in hand with my preferred program of Alcoholics Anonymous. But it goes deeper. I mean, you've been through it as well, so you kind of know what I mean. It just, there was a lot of things in AA over so many years that people would tell me and try to teach me, and they didn't necessarily know how to, right? And Refuge dug so much deeper that it made AA make more sense.
Right. So I think it's important to state that AA does not have a monopoly on recovery.
Right.
Right. However, I do think that a spiritual awakening does. Right. So we have to have that. We have to have a psychic change, change in our moral psychology, spiritual experience, spiritual awakening. But how we get to that doesn't have to be through AA. Right. It can be through NACA, HA, Refuge, Celebrate Recovery, whatever. But we have to get to that. right? So, and I had the same experience that you did of, I think those work very well together. The refuge works. I get strengthened my AA. It actually kind of brought me back to getting fired up about AA because I had a different perspective. Like I started to see things differently and understand AA more.
Yeah.
Through that process, like I learned how to meditate. I learned about I just learned more about like why I do things.
Yeah.
And then it opened my eyes. And then the big book really started screaming at me, and I was like, "Oh, okay, now I get it."
Yeah.
Right.
And I know for me, it was a lot of a couple things just right off the top of my head. Like you had mentioned the meditation. For years, people in AA would tell me, just meditate, pray and meditate on it. And I'd be like, well, how do I meditate? And nobody could tell me.
I don't know how to pray either.
Right. Like, not so much the prayer. Like, my sponsor was always able to tell me where to start with that, And honestly, at that time, I just never put in that action. Right. If I'm being honest. Yeah. That effort to do it. But when it come to the meditation, I would always ask different people in AA, and I didn't really ever get a real answer. Yeah. And it was through Refuge that what meditation really was broke down to me in terms where I could understand it. And I was like, that makes sense. Right. So why couldn't we? But now I get to spread that with my sponsees. When I tell them to meditate, I can explain to them what meditation really is, right?
And that there's so many forms. Buddhist monk.
Right. There's so many different forms of it. Yeah. And I never knew that.
Yeah.
And then, something as simple as you always hear them saying, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
This too shall pass. Like I always knew what they meant. Like, okay, this is whatever I'm feeling at this time, it's going to pass.
Right.
Just hang in there. It's going to pass. But through Refuge, I got to learn what that really meant about impermanence. Right. I got to learn about those type of things, and I got to learn just so much, and all of it went hand in hand with AA and the 12 steps, and it's all the same principles.
Yeah.
It's what it was. So it was really good for me. So
it's the same gift. It's just in a different box.
Right.
It's just wrapped up differently.
Yeah. So at that time, when I was starting to get into that, my sponsor at the time, and I did kind of I went through the 12 steps with him, and I was attending AA meetings. I had a home group, and then I was getting into the Refuge. And my sponsor at the time, he was like, man, you're not coming to as many AA meetings. You're not doing this. And I was like, well, I'm kind of really getting into this Refuge thing now. And he was like, he was like, that's cool. I don't know anything about it though.
Right.
And he wasn't going to pretend like he did. So he told me, he said, I'm always,
fantastic.
Yeah. And he told me I'm always here for you. But he was like, I think it's best that maybe you get someone that's on that same path as you. Mm-hmm. And he still texts me every morning. Mm-hmm. We I still get messages from him every single day. There's not a day that's gone by. So we're still in contact, and I got a new sponsor. Well, at that time I got a mentor.
Right.
Who took me through the Refuge program. And I worked through this program with him. And then in turn, like I said, it brought me back to AA. Because it made I was able to go through this process and start piecing things together. I was like, okay, now this makes more sense. And it brought me back to AA. Mm-hmm. So my mentor at the time through Refuge then also became my sponsor through AA.
Yeah, because he was in AA as well.
Because he was a member of AA as well, yes.
Right.
And this was like the first 6 months.
Right. So you're pretty busy.
First 6 months out of treatment, I've got a set schedule of 4
meetings a day.
Not a day.
No,
I wouldn't do that. But I had four meetings a week that I was going to between AA and Refuge. So it was. I went through in the first 6 months. I had went through the 12 steps on 2 different occasions with 2 different sponsors, and through this Refuge program. All within the first 6 months.
Sorry, my wife is texting me if I want food.
I always respond.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys went through the refuge program, in the first 6 months. So at this point, you've went through the 12 steps
Twice.
The eightfold path.
The eightfold path. Yep.
Right. So, and you're involved in meetings. You're going to meetings. I'm assuming you had a home group.
Yep.
Right. So you got a home group. So you're doing all the things. Right. So what was like at this point in time? What was your psyche like? Where was your mind at? Were you going crazy because you haven't had a drink in 6 months, or were things going well? Like, what was the result of that work?
I mean, everything instantly started to get better, right? And everything did very, very quickly. But the desire to drink or use drugs left me very early. I mean, even when I think back when I first came out of treatment, like, I didn't have any thoughts of going to drink or use. But within those first, I would say within the first, what was it, month and a half that I worked the 12 steps with my original sponsor, the desire was gone because I had put in the work and really put in the work and was really in this thing and really doing it. So
that's an important thing to expand on, right? Because a lot of people think that, like, this is, well, I've been sick for 20 years, so it's going to take a long time to get well. And that's just not true.
No.
It hasn't been true for me. I know it hasn't been true for you. It hasn't been true for millions of people if they do the work right. Not right, but if they do it in a quick fashion, out of the book, and don't try to come up with all this fluff and all these fancy ways to do this. Can you recover that way? Absolutely. But is it necessary? Probably not. Let's get well, and then go back and maybe do some of these other exercises and these other things. And, let's do that. But let's get well first. I like to call it, I tell guys that we're going to triage you. So we're going to stop the bleeding.
We're stable.
We're going to get you stable. And the way that we do that is the instructions are laid out in the book. That's the only way I know how to do it. And so that's how we're going to do it. And if you do that, you'll get the results.
Yeah. And it's still, I'm not saying that I did all this perfectly, because I don't by any means.
Me neither.
None of it. Still, four years in, I haven't done
close.
The only thing perfectly I haven't done is picked up that first one.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I've done perfect up to this point. And it was important to me to really be grinding, especially early out of treatment. It was very important to me, and because all the time I've had sober in the past, and I had been through the 12 steps, sponsored other men and all these things, I know what was missing every time I would go back out and relapse.
What is that?
And it was the spiritual portion of this program. The main fucking portion.
The most important portion.
Exactly. That's what I was missing, because I would get, right, but it's funny.
No, that's what everyone
does. It is.
And for everybody.
Sponsor, he would tell me that every time I would relapse after a few years sober, a couple of years sober, or whatever it was at the time, that's what he would always tell me, man, you're missing the biggest part. Yeah. That's your problem.
Well, we have a spiritual problem.
Right. So I would always go through and I would take that second step, and I would know, like, I'm not God. I've always known that.
Right.
Right. I've always known there was something greater than me.
Right.
And that I wasn't it.
Right.
And then I would get to that step 3 where it was time to take some action to turn my will over to whatever my higher power was going to be. And I would always do that third step prayer. And I would always say, all right, I'm willing to do this. Let's turn it over to him. But I never put any action to that.
Yeah, so it's pointless.
It was pointless. So it was just like, it was just words coming out.
Yeah.
And then it was on to, let's go ahead and do this inventory. Let's go ahead and do the defects of characters and shortcomings and make amends to people. But I was always going into that stuff unprotected.
Yeah. You're going into it still full of self.
Right.
And you're running the show.
Yeah.
You know, which is the opposite of what we got to do.
So that brings me to what I was saying was this go around. Like I went through the 12 steps in that first month and a half to 2 month window with him. Started to put in some action into that third step, right? Didn't do it perfect. Still don't do it perfect to this day.
I don't think anyone does.
But I started to put in some action to it. I had a lot of questions. I'm not a religious guy, right? That's not, I don't go to church. I'm not a religious guy, but that also, the refuge brought me more into the spiritual side of things as well, right? So that helped things make a little more sense as far as the third step. So then I went back through the 12 steps again, you know, and everything just, over time, it's just built. I've had people help me along the way as far as understanding, like, how do I pray, learning about the meditation, and being a part of this spiritual realm, you know, because a lot of people coming in, they think we're talking about, you got to be a born again Christian.
Right.
You know, they think that they hear, I mean, in the big book, I believe in the first 165 pages, the word God is mentioned like 331 times.
Right.
Somewhere 330 some odd times. And it's a lot. So people get thrown off by that. And they think we're talking about some religion, and it's just not it. You know what I mean? That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, because it says we have to lay aside any prejudice that we have.
Yeah.
You know, and if I'm coming into that with this prejudice that I'm not religious, this can't work. I don't believe in that. This can't work for me. Or how does this work? Then I'm going to just be spinning my wheels because I'm never going to find out like how God works. Like that's not the goal. Like that's not what I'm trying to figure out. I'm just trying to let that power take over and then act accordingly.
Yeah.
Right. So take according the correct steps. But I think it's important to talk about like we don't just work the 12 steps one time and then just be done. You know, like because we get taken to my opinion, right? This is just my experience, is that my higher power keeps taking me to new places. But he doesn't leave me there. Like, so, and he'll take me to another place. But I have to be willing, like I've said this on here before, like I can't live off the food I ate last year. You know, so I have to be willing still to go back, go through these steps again, have a new first step experience, because that can get lost. You know, the longer we're sober, we can kind of forget about what it was like. You know, I'm too sober to need to do an inventory, or I'm too sober to be acting this way, or whatever it is. You know, like we can really, our ego can inflate, you know, over time and come back, and we can get sick again. And we really need to like stay. I was talking to Joe tonight. We were talking about being intentional. You know, about how it's important to be intentional about our conscious contact with our higher power, with our program, with working with others and things like that. Like we can't just sit back and expect all the promises to come true, the people to just come up to us and ask us for help, you know, things like that, you know, or God to just work on our behalf because we're not drinking, you know, like it doesn't work that way. Like, you were talking about action, like it's a spiritual program of action. Like it's not a spiritual program of learning or sharing or meeting or fill in the blank. it's action. You have to do it. It's they say it at the end of every meeting. It works if you work it, but only if you work it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not just it works. It's not works if you know it, or it works if you show up. Right. You have to actually do some things. So we're probably about a year in now at this point, maybe a little more than that.
I mean, I was still like in that first 6 months talking
right.
about all this, you know what I mean? But it continued, right?
So if you were a gambling man, and I don't know if you are or not,
Right.
right, but if you were setting odds, like honestly, like when you're in treatment, like you're probably thinking, yeah, I'm going to do it this time. So the odds are probably pretty good. But like, what do you think? Like, based on your prior history, like what would Vegas set the odds at that Evan's going to stay sober a year or 4 years, or what would it be like?
It'd been like the mega hit, like a plus 10,000.
Right, right, yeah. So, but what Vegas doesn't understand is like if you put in the work, the odds are pretty damn good, right? So, you make it to the first year, obviously.
Yeah.
Right. What were some contributing factors to making it to that milestone? Like other than like doing the work, like what was fellowship like? What was service like? Were you working with others? Do you have any commitments, or what does that look like?
So within that first year, I had service positions inside of meetings. I would do different things, set up, breakdown for meetings, chaired some meetings. I got my first sponsee when I was probably about 10 months sober. Was when I picked up my first sponsee this time. For the most part, honestly, that first year was pretty selfish, if I'm being honest. It was pretty selfish, but not in a bad way.
Right.
Everyone in my life was still benefiting from me being selfish for my recovery.
Right.
In turn, it was other people were reaping the benefits of that.
Right. I mean, it's not like you weren't available.
Right.
To sponsor.
But I was really, really dialed in for that first year. Like I said, I had this very strict schedule that I stuck to. And if for some reason something came up and I couldn't go on this night, I made sure to make it up somewhere. I was really being pretty strict. I had forced myself into this group of guys. Mm-hmm. Just kind of like, you guys, I'm going to make you love me.
I'm coming in.
I'm coming, whether right. I just kind of inserted myself.
And that's what we all do.
Yeah. In this group of guys that I was like, man, they've got something and I want it. And I want to be a part of that with them. So I just kind of put myself in there and just started showing up where they were at. And next thing I know, you know what I mean? We formed this tight bond. And the fellowship was great. I had very strong fellowship. I made so many relationships with other men and we all had such different ranges of sobriety. You know what I mean? Yeah. It wasn't like everybody was fresh. It was people had months to days to
a couple years or
10 plus years, 15 years. Yeah. It was a whole range of. It was a different group of men. Yeah. Something I had never experienced in any other time trying to get sober. So for that first year, it was, I'll say for that first year, I really depended on a very strict schedule. Like I said, I did put in a lot of work, but I also relied a whole lot on the fellowship and other men in my life.
So you mentioned you saw this group of guys and they had something that you wanted. Mm-hmm. What did they have?
From my eyes, they had peace. Mm-hmm. They had love. They had happiness.
Right.
They had friends. They had, you know what I mean? All these things that were attracted to me that, like, yeah, I had some friends, but like, were we really friends? or was it more along the lines of acquaintances?
Yeah.
I never had like strong friendship, or hadn't, I won't say never had that, but for a long time I didn't have that.
Yeah.
With other men in my life. And I damn sure didn't know nothing about peace, because I was always fighting this fucking war on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And happiness. I didn't know what it was like to be happy anymore, unless I was high or drunk.
Yeah.
They had all these things. They had this light about them that I could just see that something was different with this group of men, and I wanted some of it.
And I think the people that have that, like, it transmits. Like, you can see it. Like, you can literally see it. It's like, oh, he's different, or they're different. Yeah. Not in a bad way, not in a weird way, like they're better than somebody else, but it's just like they're different. Like, there's something in their eyes, or just the way that they walk. It's just like, that's what I want. That's what I want, And I miss that group, man. We had a good group. We really did. We had a solid group. We had a lot of fun. Just the way that we would talk to each other and make fun of each other, and just joke on each other. But you mentioned that we all had different backgrounds. We have different periods of sobriety, things like that. And what's it say in the book? Like, we're a group of people who generally would not mix, and that's what we were. And it was just like this hodgepodge of guys. Yep. Just like, look at these fucking guys.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow. But I think so that brings up something in my mind, that time is not indicative of recovery. Like, somebody, don't get me wrong, like, people that have a lot of time can have very strong recovery. Mm-hmm. But just because someone has time doesn't mean they have good recovery or strong recovery, or if they have, or the opposite of that, right? Just because someone only has 3 months, 6 months, it doesn't mean they don't have strong recovery. Yeah. So time doesn't determine how well we are. Yeah. So I think that's important. If you're looking for a group of people or like some fellowship, I wouldn't use that as a barometer of who I want to surround myself with, just because someone has 10 years or 15 years. Mm-hmm. They might have 10 years. They might be great, or they might be just dry, or they might not really have what you want other than the time sober.
I mean, I can think, and still, I'm still in contact with, I talked to him today, and, one of the guys that played a huge part in my recovery, he's...
Mater Tot? Nate?
No. Oh. I mean, he still, to this day, we're still in contact, and he played a huge part. But what you're getting at was like, the difference in guys. One of the guys who, Jace is, 17 years younger than me?
Right.
And he had, a couple months sober. Yeah. While I think
like a year apart.
I think we're about a year apart in our recovery, 9 to 10 months. And just seeing him when he came along and found his way into our group of guys, when he first came about, I was like, ain't no way this kid's staying sober. And I damn sure didn't think that he would have played such an impact in my recovery.
Yeah.
Seeing how motivated and how driven he was, and just the way that just this program worked in his life and transformed him into the man that he is now. Like, that kid played such a huge role for me. And just even from the outside looking in, he inspired me to want to go harder and do more.
And continues to do so.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing about recovery. If we stay on the beam, like more times than not, because we're not always spiritual giants, right? But I know I'm not. But if we kind of stick to it, like, we get to see these things happen in other people, and whether we had anything to do with it or not, it's an awesome thing to see.
Yeah.
And it gives hope. And, it's just like we've survived a similar peril. I don't know what the right word I'm looking for is, but we've survived the same thing. It's like a lot of people say, like, sometimes, like, well, I don't like going to AA or NA or wherever because it's a bunch of cliques, and it's like, well, I get what they're saying, but once you've survived that thing, that disease, like, you're a part of that clique now.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of it's just an awesome thing to see.
Mm-hmm.
So did you experience any, and this isn't true for everybody, but I hear a lot of times, it wasn't true for me, but I hear a lot of times about the terrible twos.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, it's just like being reborn and growing up again. It's like the second year was hard. It was the hardest. I was like, it wasn't for me.
No, it wasn't for me either. Really, that second year, like I said, I picked up my first sponsee probably like 10 months sober.
Mm-hmm.
And from that point on, it was just, that was where the real meat and potatoes came into play. Is when when I finally started giving back and getting out of self and trying to help other men along the way. That's where my recovery really started to grow, and my spirituality and everything started to really blossom at that point. And I picked up several sponsees, especially in that second year. And, so I have really, like, I didn't experience anything bad coming in the second year of sobriety.
Well, I think a lot of that comes from, and I don't know because I didn't experience it, right? But just outside looking in, just making an observation, I think a lot of that comes from people taking their time to get through the work.
Yeah.
And before you know it, they're 2.5 years sober, and they haven't sponsored anyone. So, and maybe they're getting a little sick again, and the little things start to pile up. And I don't say that to be judgmental, but it's just, I think that's kind of what happens. Is then it's like, oh man, life's hard now. It's like, well, because you're not doing all the stuff you need to be doing.
Right.
But you mentioned growing spiritually. And it tells us in the big book how we grow spiritually. It doesn't say through prayer. It says through work and self-sacrifice for others, right? That's how we grow spiritually.
Yeah.
And because I've prayed a lot of times when I was sick, and I didn't grow spiritually, but it wasn't until I started sticking my hand out, helping other people, sacrificing my time, just to give back the things that were given to me, that I started really seeing all the benefits of the program.
Yeah.
Like, that's when I started to, not that a lot of the promises weren't coming true in my life, but I really started to experience them. Like, they might have been happening, but I wasn't really experiencing all of them more fully. And then it was like, whoa, like, just all of a sudden, Yeah, I'm sure every guy you've sponsored hasn't stayed sober.
No.
Right. So me neither, but that one.
Yeah, we all have the golden boy.
Yeah,
right? We all have a golden boy.
We got a golden boy, or if we can get a couple of them to stay sober and to do the same thing that we did for them, then like it's just like it's amazing.
Yeah,
the feeling that gives you, right? So, all right. So, what's it like now? So, like, what is your life like? What is recovery like? Like, what's changed?
I mean, my group of guys has kind of changed up. There's a couple of us, we went different directions. Some have moved out of state. Some have relapsed and haven't come back. There's a couple of us who are still in contact and see each other all the time. We've got new guys that have come in.
Right.
I still attend meetings, obviously. I don't have any sponsees actively working the steps right now. So, my sponsor and I had already talked about after the beginning of the year, we were going to go through the steps again, which is something I've tried to do at least once a year over the last 4 years, whether it was through step study groups or however we did it. Still continue to work on my prayer and my spiritual life, and coming into this 4th year, one of the things I'm focusing a lot more on, which I feel like I practiced better in the beginning, was like patience and understanding. And that's something I want to get back to.
Yeah.
In 2026. Life is just fucking awesome today, though.
Yeah.
Even
when it's shit.
Even when things get shitty sometimes. It is what it is. That's life.
Yeah.
Something that hasn't changed, though, and is being of service to other people. Anytime somebody asks me to speak or to do something and be of service, I always say yes. Even my dad today, and it's something over these last 4 years, especially, that my dad and my stepmom have made comments about several times of, like today, my dad said, I'm so proud of you, and I'm not just proud of the man you've become today. I'm more proud of your willingness to help other people. And, that means so much.
That hits different.
It does. It means so much. And, my stepmom for a long time, because unfortunately I have a lot of family members who have dealt with this, right? And they've watched me really bend over backwards and do a lot of things to help even a lot of family members. They know I help a lot of people in AA and just in general, and try to, but they saw me with several family members and how much effort and how much I tried to help them, to where even they've made comments about, like, man, like, you're so dedicated to helping people and trying to help other men get sober. Like, you should do this for a living. And I'm like, I already do.
Right.
I already do. I don't want to get paid in money.
Yeah. This is what I do.
This is what I'm supposed to do. This is how I stay sober. I don't need to reap any financial gains off of it.
Right.
I don't get any financial gain. We don't get any money off of this.
No.
This is strictly for us and to try to carry a message and to help save someone's life.
Yeah.
So I already do this for a living, is the way I look at it.
It pays
and
well.
I get paid in the best way I can possibly be paid for anything.
Pays real well.
And just to have true relationships today, to be wanted, going through all these holidays over the last 4 years, and actually, in the past I would be there, but it's not like I was really wanted there because I was going to fuck something up in some way.
Yeah.
Or embarrass someone by the way
I think we have I think it's like a normal, instinctual need to feel needed.
Yeah.
Right. And we're used to, we need you to step out of the car. We need you to put your hands behind your back.
Right.
we need you to fuck off.
Yeah.
We need you to go away.
Yeah.
But when it's like, we want you here, or we need you, it's like, man, that carries a lot of weight. That carries a lot more weight than keep coming back. Somebody says, we need you. It's like, wow. Like, really? Me? You need me?
One of the most rewarding things outside of recovery, which is why it's possible. I've been a father for almost 12 years now, right? From my first child to I now have 3.
Right.
But I've been a dad for 4.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that really hits in here, know?
Yeah.
That's real shit.
Yeah.
Because I was never really there.
Mm.
There's a difference between being a father and being a dad.
Yeah.
And my daughter's getting older now, and I shared it with you at work today. On New Year's Eve, she was with her mother, and I sent her this text, and I just told her, it was like 11 o'clock. I'm not staying up for the ball drop. My whole house is, my wife and my 2 boys were in bed by 9. It's 11. I'm going to sleep. So I just sent her a text, and I told her Happy New Year's. I hope you know how much we love you. And I'm so proud of the young lady that you've grown into.
Mm-hmm.
Her response, her population count was slightly off.
Right.
But her response was, there's 1,500 people on this planet, and you were the best dad of them all. So I kind of chuckled a little bit. Right. I was like, oh, just a little number's a little off.
Yeah.
But I know what she meant.
You're number one, though.
I'm number one. Yeah. But for her to say that, like, I know what she was getting at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Awesome.
That's what mattered. And it had me tearing up, and I'm just like, man, like, this is what it's about.
Yeah.
This is what it's about today.
My daughter's response to that probably would have been, "You're a nerd." That's probably what she would have said. Yeah.
But getting to be there and actually be a dad and be a husband
Mm-hmm.
and be a son and they can and a friend and a brother,
Right.
and they can rely on me. And
all the things you've always wanted to be.
Yes, all the things I've always... It's crazy that all the things I've always asked for and prayed for have all come true.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not in the order.
Right.
But they've all come true.
Yeah.
And despite me still having moments of being an asshole sometimes, because I can be.
Me too.
Being lazy sometimes because I still like to procrastinate. I still have character defects and flaws that I need to work on. I've got so many people in my life that I owe this thing to. Like, in the beginning, this was for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I owe this to, like, so many, and it makes me emotional even thinking about it, because, like, they all deserve the best version of me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I look forward to continue to give them.
Right. So you said something there. You said that you still have character defects and moments of that not being the best you, mm-hmm. right? Like, we all have those. And thank God, right? Because,
yeah.
And that's awesome. Because if you were perfect, no one would identify with you.
Right.
Right? No one would seek help from you, right? Because how am I going to get help from you? You're perfect. I can never live up to that, right? So us being human is a huge quality.
Mm-hmm.
Us making mistakes, those are like my heroes, right? Yeah. You're one of my heroes. Like, people that make mistakes are my heroes, because they make mistakes, but then they get up the next day and maybe make mistakes again, but then they get up the next day and make them again. But they keep trying, like, they keep going. They don't give up. And I think that is awesome when people do that, because if you're making mistakes, that means you're fucking trying.
Yeah.
What's not heroic is people who just sit back and don't take any chances and don't try hard things and don't put themselves out there, and I think that's how we get blessed, is by doing these things, because the things we don't want to do, mm-hmm. and a lot of them we don't want to do. Then we get to a point where it's like, hey, I get to do these things.
Yeah.
But early on, it's like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
What if I fail? Because I used to have this thing where I'm like a walking contradiction. Right? Like, I really am. Like, I'm the opposite. Like, I'm both ends of the spectrum on everything. And I was a kind of a perfectionist. Like, I want to do the 12 steps perfectly. But being a perfectionist by definition means that I'm going to fail at everything I do because I can't do anything perfect. So I'm always failing.
Yeah.
So as a perfectionist, I'm a complete failure at everything.
Yeah.
Right. So, but that's okay. Right. Because I get up the next day and I try again.
Mm-hmm.
And you do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, just do it, do it, do it. It comes back to the action. Just do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, Nike beat us to it. You know, like we could have been rich. Like,
Right.
we could have been rich. We could be running Redneck Brawl. Like, we could have our own redneck hillbilly something. We call it something else, but we could have our own little fight promotion for hillbillies and rednecks. But unfortunately, we didn't come up with that. So,
No, that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's okay.
Well, we'll just watch it. We'll just spectate.
Right.
You know, so maybe that's the way it was supposed to be.
No.
You know, so, but how are we doing on time? We're getting close. I know you got to.
Yeah. A few more minutes.
Okay, I was going to say with traffic with 100 or 1,500 people, there's a lot of traffic out there. You know, but no, I mean, that's cool. Like, so, you know, things haven't always been perfect. You know, things aren't going to be. You know, like, and that's the thing is that we just got to keep going. We got to keep trying, and you know, that's something that you've always done. You know, I'm glad that you wedged your way into our group. You know, like, we're like cockroaches. You know, it's like, you're not getting rid of us.
Yeah.
Like, nuclear war could happen, and it's just like, we're gonna still make our way through it and be by each other's side because you just can't kill us, I guess. I don't know. You know, so, but I don't know. So 4 years, it's a big deal. One more year, you can start drinking again.
Yeah, I don't think I want to take my chances.
Yeah.
But
Right. I told my wife that when I hit 4 years, she was like, I said, this isn't the, she said, congratulations. I said, well, this isn't the big one. I said, 5 years, that's the big one. And she said, well, why is that? And I said, because then I can start drinking again. And she didn't laugh. She didn't see the humor in it. And I was just like, oh, I'm kidding, obviously, you know, but that's, you know, she's not like us.
Right.
So she didn't get the joke. She was like, you're going to do what? I was like, no, I'm not really. But I don't know. So, so what's going on now, right? So, do you have, I know you're a dad, you get to be a father or a dad now, all the good stuff, right? So, has anything changed? Right. Like, so as far as like what you do is like, what is your routine? You said you had a routine earlier, right? Like, what does it look like now as far as what you do in sobriety?
So now it's kind of, it's definitely balanced out more over these years. You know, my wife is in recovery as well. So she did allow me, in the beginning to have that strict schedule that I talked about.
Right.
And she probably sacrificed herself during that time. So over these years, we've kind of balanced it out more to where she has certain nights that she does things and then I do things, and then but for my weekly schedule now, you know, it's changed a lot. Like I have a home group that I attend on Wednesdays. We're getting ready to start back. We have a men's group that we do on Thursdays. We're getting ready to start that back up. We took a little break during December. So we're supposed to be getting that back going with the beginning of the year. Obviously, we dedicate time to do the show, which is also another form of a meeting.
Right.
Right.
For sure. It's not as whiny.
Right. So, you know, staying in contact with my sponsor, like I said, getting ready to start going through the 12 steps again. It's just not as strict nowadays. But I have all the tools. I still apply the principles to my life every day the best I can. And if I miss something, I'll try to get it better the next day. I take that inventory every night.
Is there something,
my day.
Is there something in reworking the steps, right? Is there something in particular that like you're hoping to gain out of that, or are you going into it just with an open mind of like, let's see where this goes?
Just kind of like an open mind, So with my current sponsor, like I said, I'm on my third sponsor in 4 years now.
Right.
So with my current sponsor, when he became my sponsor, we went through the steps, but we went through them as a group.
Right.
Right. I've never went through the steps with him just one-on-one. Mm-hmm. He knows my past. He knows that the work I had been putting in already before he became my sponsor, though. So we went through the steps as a group. I think there was like 6 of us.
Something like that, yeah.
5 or 6 of us, something like that. So we went through the steps then. And I gained something different every time. Mm-hmm. I've read the big book so many times, and I've got so many different highlighter colors and pen marks and writing, and I pick something else up every time. Yeah. So I think I don't have any sponsees actively going through the steps, so I'm looking forward to that. Like, what can I gain from going through these steps with my sponsor, who we've never been through them one-on-one, to see how he takes people through the steps, because everyone does it a little different. They're gonna pass it on how it was passed to them. Right. That's just how it works, right? Yeah. The message is still the same, but people do it a little differently. Mm-hmm. So I get to see that. I get to pick up new experiences and opinions and all of that. I'm just looking forward to doing that.
I think that's the right mentality to have going into it, of an open mind, because that's the only way that we're going to learn or find new things, if we have an open mind. If we go into it like, well, I'm looking to get better at this, then I'm kind of closed off from all the other things that I might really need. Yeah.
Right? Like there's not any one thing in particular that I'm hoping to get out of it. Right. It's just it's going to be a whole new experience. Yes, I know what the goal is already, because we've been doing it, but it's just going to be a whole new experience.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm glad. I'm excited for you to be doing that. I need to do it myself. So I think I was talking to Sean about it the other day. I think we're going to try to set some time aside to start, going through the book together, and because he's never taken me through the steps either. Right. So that's a totally different experience for me. Same situation, So, I don't know. That's all I got. Congratulations again on 4 years. It's outstanding. We need you. We do. We need more people like you. We need people to be themselves, but we need people that are willing to take action and help other people. Mm-hmm. So got a lot of gratitude for you. Like you're my boy. Like I don't know. Like I feel like I'm celebrating. Like I feel like it's just like he's killing it. So I'm just happy. For you and your family. I'm happy for you and your family, because I know all those things that you were talking about earlier, how those feel about, being a dad and, being an actual husband and being needed and wanted, and it's awesome. Mm-hmm. So, just keep doing it, because we need you.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
But, all right, that's all we got. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like it, comment. If you want to give Evan a shout out about how fantastic he is, put something in the comments. Other than that, hope you guys stay sober, and we'll see you next week.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, guys.